Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. We're going to break down everything that happened today. We had a lot of news thing. We had a lot of excuses for the market to move. So we're going to break down everything. I'm going to talk about the S&P, the NASDAQ, and then we're going to talk about Microsoft, Tesla, and Meta as they all had earnings. Kind of like the whole world, or I guess the whole United States had earnings today. Jumping into this is the S&P right here. We had Powell announcing, well, inflation's down, right? Inflation went from 3.3 to 3.2. Congrats to everybody on that inflation coming down. I know you don't feel it because that actually doesn't include food and energy. But you should just remember what the government sells you in the news or tells you, whatever. Inflation's going down. Okay, if you can't afford it, it's because you're poor. I think that's what they say. Anyway, coming into it, the day we didn't really do a whole lot of anything. We played the back and forth game all day between these two zones. So if you were a buyer down here, you had 3 opportunities to buy inside that zone, trail it on the way up. For futures, this is a rocking day. As far as the open goes right now, we are open and we're pushing up. Ultimately, I'm on the bullish side. I think that's just going to be a higher low. Jumping into the NASDAQ, it was the exact same thing. We're just playing the zone game back and forth. Now, the NASDAQ I thought would be a little bit more down. Just the heads up, Microsoft is down, but Tesla and Meta are up. I think that's the only reason, the NASDAQ is where it's at right now. If the others had earnings like Microsoft, we'd be at this yellow zone. Looking at the expected moves for both, the S&P just jumped down, hit the expected move, came right back in. Same with the NASDAQ. Anytime we got outside, reined it right back in. So market makers are doing their job this week, which is curious because on Monday, we went 2 standard deviations. Like we gapped outside 1 standard deviation, went to 2, then reined it back in. So that was wild. Again, if you're curious about these numbers, I draw these out every Sunday. So make sure you are here, subscribe so you know when I am live. And that's when I like to jump in the chat, answer questions, but also talk about where the market makers expect the moves to go. Right? Expect the stocks to stay in, the things, the numbers, the ranges. All right, jumping into Microsoft's earnings. All right, so Microsoft reported a total revenue of $69.6 billion for the quarter, making a 12% year-over-year increase. Net income rose by 10% to $24.1 billion. Guidance, so while specific revenue projections for the next quarter were not detailed, Microsoft highlighted significant growth in its AI business, which has reached an annual revenue run rate of $13 billion, which is a 175% increase. The company emphasized ongoing investments in AI and cloud services as key drivers for future growth. So, banging. We did good. Minus the fact that all of that sounds good and the numbers were good, we clearly had a red reaction. So, somebody didn't like something. We melted all the way down. We got outside 1 standard deviation, ultimately stopping at this zone, which I got to say right now, for the time being, I am bullish. I would be buying Microsoft. I do think there's a crash coming in March. I've been pretty vocal about that. But for now, until we get there, I am bullish. This to me would be a dip buy. If I was buying long right now, my stop would be 415.85 if I was going to just buy some shares right there. Yeah, bullish. I think there's some time. I also think we might get it a little bit cheaper later. So right now, I do think it's worth the dip buy. However, moving on to Tesla. Tesla, my Esla. Who says that? All right, so played the zone game. We went from this zone, dropped it down to this zone, right at the expected move, bounced right back up. We're kind of right back at Friday's close, doing a whole lot of nothing. So the earnings report indicated a slight miss in earnings forecasts. However, Elon Musk announced plans to commence self-driving robotaxi services by June of 2025, with expectations of substantial growth in 2026. Now, when he asked on the earnings call, it was with the last half of 2025 was going to be cities, major cities, and then obviously growth. But he did say it would not be held back by tech. It'll be held back by regulations, if anything. So that was good. Does anybody else listen to the earnings call? I feel like Elon tries to make a joke out of everything. Like he's just being attacked, and he's just trying to make everybody laugh. I don't know. I wish you would just get to the details. Get to the details and move on. Stop asking weird questions. Either they did not provide any guidance for the next quarter, but focusing on the rollout of robo-taxis. That now on the earnings call, he talked quite a bit about semis, automation coming there. There was a whole piece about how semi drivers are coming in less than they are leaving. So yes, yeah, I said that right. Less than they are leaving, so it's a problem for the trucking industry in general. Let's see. I guess numbers-wise, sorry, I'm butchering this. Numbers-wise, we got a slight miss on both. Estimated $27 billion. We came in at 25. Earnings, we estimated 77 cents per share. We came in at 73, which is awesome because that's why things go up. Microsoft's green on both, it goes down. Tesla's red on both, it goes up, and with no guidance. This is also where I want to take the time to mention this is a gamble play regardless. I don't care what the numbers are. Ultimately, it's where everyone's voting with their wallets. Clearly, the buyers showed up here. As of now, I hate to say this, I have a lot of Tesla in my investment account. I would consider going short this for now. I am pumped. I will say he did mention not the robotaxi, Optimus. Optimus will no longer be $35,000. Like he said it'll be priced wherever the market demand is. So I think it's going to be more like 70. I'll know you're paying attention right now if you comment down below what you think Optimus will be for sale for you. When you can go buy a robot for yourself at home, what do you think the take-home price is? My guess is $70,000 right now. So let me know in the comments down below. And that's how I know you're paying attention. All right, as far as Meta goes, look at that. Now we're green on both. So this is what it should look like. Green on both, and it's up. So Meta reported fourth quarter revenue of $48.4 billion, a 21% increase year over year, with earnings per share rising by 50% to $8.02. Guidance for the first quarter of 2025, Meta projects revenue between $39.5 billion to $41.8 billion, slightly below analyst expectations of $41.7. The company also anticipates operating expenses for the full year to be in the range of $114 to $119 billion. It's about what I pay to run my house, attributing the increase to investments in infrastructure and employee compensation. F those guys. Come on, we don't care about employees. We know this. AI is going to take over. That's how you know they're going to make more. We're going to chop that thing right on back. So numbers are good. Reaction was good. And it looks like I'm going to get rid of some shares because I can't remember if I sold the 680 or the 690s. I want to say I sold the 680s today. I sold the 680 call on my shares. Now, that is my investment account because I do want to let about 30% of my position go. Again, I do think we're going to crash. I think we're going to get it cheaper. And at first, I thought it was just going to be 100% premium because we were red. And I got to say, I was very curious how this was going to pan out because it just kept pushing up. And when it gets like this, sometimes I want to just take that knife catcher in me says, go short. Just do it. You're going to be all right. But then the other part of me just says, who knows something? Because we gapped down on that AI news, and someone just was not having it. They were just buying up all the shares and continuing to buy. And then earnings comes out, and it still pushes. We have a wide range as far as earnings go, though. So for Meta going forward, I would keep a close eye on this range right here. Above or below that, and we're probably rocking and rolling because we know all the buyers are here. We know all the sellers are here, and that's what we know right now. We have an overall trend of up, but it's Meta. That's normal for Meta. That's why it's my number one position. But that being said, that's where my focus is at. We're right at 1 standard deviation. I do think the fireworks are probably done for Meta. If it does get outside this range, I would look for a rein it back in, take profit Friday. As of my shares go, if we hold above the 680, I'm not rolling. I'm just going to actually let those shares go. I'm doing this with Meta and Tesla, so hoping to lighten the load on both of those. But anyway, ladies and gents, that is your recap, what I'm thinking, overall thoughts. Let me know what your overall thoughts are. Let me know down below all the comments. Do you like this format? And make sure that bell icon you hit it. You do whatever. All the cool YouTubers have like a saying. I'll find one later. Anyway, just do it so you know that I'm live. You guys, I'll see you again on the next one. Have a good one.